Hey everybody, my name is EJ, and in this video, I will be sharing my ideas on how to improve your children's study habits at home. My friends, we would also be discussing 4 topics in particular. Number 1, the learning environment. Number 2, the subjects that your children are now taking this academic year. Number 3, of course, you, my dear parents. And number 4, and the most important part, your children, our students. Let us now begin with learning environments. And when we say learning environments, we would look into 4 different aspects:
physical space, time, situations, and modalities.
So when we say physical space, it actually pertains to the location where your child does the studying. And as parents, we have to ensure that the place where your children are studying must be conducive to learning. And how do we know if a place is conducive to learning? Well, here are some of my tips.
To ensure the conduciveness of the study area, you have to make it certain that there are less, or if possible, no distractions. It is always best to designate a specific place exclusively for studying. Doing this will condition the minds of your children that whenever they are in this particular place, there is no other thing to do but to study. You also need to make sure that the study place is well lighted. We must always remember that a well-lighted place will make our students or your children alert and enthusiastic while studying. Your children must also feel that the study area is a positive and safe place for them. This is very important because learning will not be maximized if your children are scared or threatened whenever they would be in their study area. Making our study area a positive and safe place will condition the minds of our children that learning is fun and enjoyable as well. Lastly, it is always better to ask your children to leave the study area whenever they are not studying. As much as possible, do not allow your children to play their gadgets, sleep, or even just lounge around the study area, because this might affect their perceptions about the place. Given the fact that studying at home exposes our children to a number of distractions, it is always better to establish a specific place exclusively only for studying. This will help our children focus on whatever topic they are trying to learn. At this juncture, my dear parents, please take the time to survey and check the surroundings of your children's study area, and please try to find out if the place is conducive enough for your children to maximize their learning potentials.
Another important part of the learning environment would have to be the time. And my dear friends, according to www.oxfordlearning.com, the time is a huge factor in determining the effectiveness of learning. And here are some of their very interesting findings.
Based on the article, studying in the morning after eating a hearty breakfast helps the students in sharpening their skills in learning new things, reviewing past lessons, and recalling specific details, such as names, dates, and places. On the other hand, studying in the afternoon helps students in integrating their new learnings to their previous knowledge.
But of course, my dear parents, this would still rely greatly on the learning style of your children. Because you know what, my friends? Some students prefer studying at daytime and some students prefer studying at nighttime. So it is your task to determine which is which.
Now, what are the benefits of being a day studier and a night studier? If your children prefer studying at daytime, here are the benefits. Number one, refreshed brain, most especially if they were able to have a good night's sleep. Number two, the natural light will keep them alert. Number three, there will be no sleep disruption at nighttime. And number four, they have more time to collaborate with other students. On the other hand, if your children prefer studying at nighttime, here are the advantages. Number one, it is peaceful and quiet. Number two, there are few distractions. Number three, their minds are clear for creative writing. And number four, they have more time to reflect. At this juncture, please take the time to analyze and reflect about the preference of your children in terms of study time.
The next thing that we need to consider is the situation. Because, my dear friends, whether we like it or not, what is happening around us greatly affects the study habits of our children.
We also need to remember that there will be some situations when we have to be more lenient in terms of the study schedule of our children. We need to understand that there would be instances when our children would find it difficult to focus on their studies. Most especially if they are anticipating a holiday or a special occasion. At this juncture, please take the time to check your calendar if there are any predicted holidays and special occasions, so you may fix the schedule of the study hours of your children.
And of course, my dear parents, you must be responsible in plotting the schedule of the study time of your children. My friends, scheduling is the key. The next thing you need to consider, and probably one of the most important things that you should know by now, would have to be the modalities to be used in the teaching and learning process. And my dear parents, once you are familiar with the different modalities of teaching and learning, I am so certain that you can guide your children more effectively.
In our current educational system, there are three common modalities in teaching and learning. Number one, we have face-to-face. Number two, we have online. And number three, we have hybrid. When we say face-to-face, the learning and teaching process happens inside the classroom. The teacher and the student interact with each other in person. When we say online, as the name will suggest, the teaching and learning happens online, meaning via the internet. There are two types of online learning. Number one, we have asynchronous and synchronous. When we say asynchronous session, the teacher will give out tasks and activities, and the children will accomplish these tasks and activities on their preferred time. On the other hand, when we say synchronous session, the teacher and the student will be both present in an online classroom together. Lastly, we also have the hybrid modality, which is a combination of synchronous and asynchronous classes.
Our next topic is the subject matter that your children are currently taking this academic year. Now, my dear parents, it is very important for you to coordinate with the subject teacher and ask him or her the following questions. Number one, what is the scope of the lesson? Number two, what are the objectives? And number three, if possible, you may also discuss with the subject teacher the relevance of the topics. The next topic we will talk about concerns directly you, my dear parents. As we all know, my dear parents, our children are spending most of their time at home, now more than ever. And that means, my friends, we have this huge responsibility on our shoulders to ensure that they're getting the right education that they need. We need to make it certain that we are cooperating and coordinating with the school teacher to achieve whatever educational aim that we may have. And you know what, my dear parents, I completely understand that the responsibility is not at all that easy. And that is why I will be giving you certain tips that may help you in helping your children study at home. Number one, you need to coordinate and cooperate with the subject teacher. And I think that is a given fact, right?
As we all know, my dear parents, you are now the partners of the school teachers in providing quality education to your children. Having said that, you need to coordinate and cooperate with the subject teachers for you to find out if you are on the same page in trying to provide quality and good education to your children.
Number two, you need to be consistent and yet flexible.
To condition the minds of our children, you must be consistent on the rules that you set for them, most especially in following their study schedule. On the other hand, you must also be flexible, most especially in times when there are unavoidable and unexpected circumstances.
Number three, you need to be detail-oriented and yet proactive. And number four, you need to be stern and yet loving.
It is very important for your children to feel that you mean business, that you are serious in helping them to improve their study habits. And yet, you must not fail to make them feel that you are doing this out of love. At this juncture, my dear parents, please take the time to analyze and reflect on the things that you have been doing for your children. Ask yourself if you have been doing the right things in helping your children improve their study habits at home. At the same time, try to find out ways on how to help them even more.
The last topic to be discussed is, I believe, the most important. That would have to be the learners, or your children. To help your children achieve their full potential in studying, you need to take note of the following things about them. Number one, their learning styles. Number two, their age and grade level. Number three, their motivations. And number four, their strengths and weaknesses.
These are the following learning styles according to the University of Illinois Springfield. Visual and verbal learners. These students learn best when information is presented visually and in written form. In a classroom setting, they prefer teachers who use visual aids like Blackboard and PowerPoint presentation. They benefit from information obtained from textbooks and class notes. These learners like to study by themselves in quiet environments. They visualize information in their mind's eyes in order to remember something. The online environment is especially appropriate for visual verbal learners because we present most of the information for a course in writing. Visual nonverbal learners. These students learn best when information is presented visually and in a picture or design format. In a classroom setting, they benefit from teachers who supplement their lectures with materials such as film, video, maps, and diagrams. They relate well to information obtained from images and charts in textbooks. They prefer to work alone in quiet environments. They visualize an image of something in their mind when trying to remember. These learners may also be artistic and enjoy visual art and design. The online environment is well suited for this type of learner because graphical representations of information can help them remember concepts and ideas. Auditory verbal learners. These students learn best when information is presented orally. In a classroom setting, they benefit from listening to lecture and participating in group discussions. They also benefit from listening to audio recordings. When trying to remember something, they often repeat it aloud and can mentally hear the way the information was explained to them. They learn best when interacting with others in a listening or speaking activity. Tactile kinesthetic learners. These people learn best when doing a physical, hands-on activity. In the classroom, they prefer to learn new materials in a laboratory setting where they can touch and move materials. They learn best in physically active learning situations. They benefit from teachers who use in-class demonstrations, hands-on learning experiences, and fieldwork outside the classroom. Finally, my dear parents, you also need to consider the age and the grade level of your children. Doing this would help you understand where they're coming from and what motivates them in studying. It will also be of great help if you would be able to discover and analyze the strengths and weaknesses of your child. Knowing your child's strengths and weaknesses would give you an idea on what are the points that you need to improve and what are the points that you need to enrich. This will also give you an idea on which subjects you need to spend more time on with your children and which subjects that they can work independently. At this juncture, my dear parents, please take the time to analyze and reflect on your children's learning styles, age and grade level, motivation, and strengths and weaknesses.
There you have it, my dear parents. This is the end of the video, and I am hoping that my tips were able to help you in helping your children improve their study habits at home. Once again, this is EJ, and thank you for listening. Bye, everybody.